Picture this: a transatlantic flight, a packed Airbus A330, and a night sky. Everything seems normal, but danger lurks unseen. This is the tale of Air Transat Flight 236, which took off from Toronto, Canada, heading towards Lisbon, Portugal, on the 24th of August, 2001. The aircraft was filled with passengers excited for their journey, some returning home, others embarking on a vacation, and a few on business. The hum of the engines and the soft murmuring of voices filled the cabin as the flight began its journey across the Atlantic. As the plane cruised at an altitude of 39,000 feet, the flight attendants began their service while the pilots guided the aircraft through the inky darkness. The scene was serene, a perfect picture of a routine flight. But as the night deepens, so does the mystery surrounding Flight 236. In the dead of night, over the Atlantic Ocean, a warning light flashes in the cockpit. An ominous glow pierces the quiet, alerting the pilots to an unexpected problem: a fuel leak. They quickly spring into action, their years of rigorous training kicking in. The seriousness of the situation is not lost on them. They know all too well that a fuel leak over the ocean, in the middle of the night, is nothing short of a nightmare. Their initial attempts to solve the problem involve shutting down one engine, rerouting the fuel, and trying to pinpoint the source of the leak. But with each passing minute, the situation grows even more precarious. The lives of the passengers hang in the balance, their safety entrusted to the skilled hands of the pilots. The gravity of the situation is palpable. They are in a race against time, and as fuel rapidly drains away, so does the hope of a normal landing. With engines failing and power dwindling, Flight 236 is left soaring through the night sky, becoming the world's heaviest glider. In the cold, quiet darkness above the Atlantic, the pilots of Flight 236 are faced with an unthinkable decision. With their primary power source failing, they must transform their massive airliner into a giant glider. The objective? To glide their way to a nearby airport, a beacon of safety amidst the vast ocean of uncertainty. The cockpit, a usually organized and calm environment, is now a bubbling pot of tension. Every decision, every action holds the weight of the lives of all those on board. As the pilots wrestle with the controls, the hum of the engines fades into an eerie silence. The plane, once a symbol of human ingenuity, is now a silent, ghostly figure gliding through the night sky. Meanwhile, the passengers, unaware of the full extent of the crisis, can only grip their armrests and trust in the skills of their pilots. The usual murmur of conversation and laughter is replaced with a tense silence, punctuated only by the occasional reassuring words from the cabin crew. Each beat of their hearts echoes the ticking clock, a reminder of the race against time and fate. Back in the cockpit, the pilots are in a desperate struggle against gravity and distance. Their eyes, stinging from exhaustion and stress, remain locked on the flickering instruments and the darkened horizon. Each passing second, each meter dropped, brings them closer to their destination, and yet so much farther from the safety of a powered flight. As the coastline begins to materialize in the distance, the pilots realize the gravity of their next task. The plane, now a glider, must be landed without the aid of engines, a feat rarely attempted with such a large aircraft. This maneuver, known as a dead stick landing, is their final hope. With no other option, the pilots prepare for a daring maneuver, a dead stick landing. Against all odds, Flight 236 touches down on a small island runway, a beacon of light in the darkness. The once routine flight, now a glider, had found refuge on the tiny speck of land in the vast Atlantic, the largest air base in the Azores. The pilots, relying solely on their skill and experience, had managed to safely guide the powerless plane onto the runway. The moment the wheels met the tarmac, a collective sigh of relief echoed through the cabin. Passengers who moments before were bracing for the worst now found themselves in the throes of an unexpected joy. The palpable tension had been replaced with overwhelming relief. Almost immediately, the airbase sprang into action. Emergency response teams rushed to ensure the safety of every soul on board. The plane was evacuated swiftly, the passengers stepping onto solid ground after their ordeal in the sky. In the face of disaster, the crew and passengers of Flight 236 lived through a miracle in the skies.